Okay, good morning, folks. Breaking news. Rex Heuermann, as you can see on the screen, Long Island serial killer. Rex Heuermann has been charged in court today as being reported by WPIX Local News 11 with a seventh murder charge. You know, he has been charged with six murders. But as of this morning, the significant development breaking I got this just about 50 seconds ago. Significant update. Rex Heuermann is charged with the seventh murder of Valerie Mack. Court documents showed the remains of Mack, which she was a sex worker from New Jersey and Philadelphia, was originally discovered in a wooded area of Manorville in 2000. So this is breaking news. And as we know with the rest of the story, her skull and hands and right foot were later found off of Ocean Parkway in 2011, some 11 years later. So this is a significant development. District Attorney, I'm waiting for a press conference to go live, but this is breaking as about a minute or two ago on WPIX 11. Mary Murphy is probably live at the courthouse, and I'm waiting for some live coverage to come up. But this was a report that was just updated around 9:50 a.m. Eastern Time, local. So more justice is being served for the victims and their families. Rex Heuermann, that's the breaking news. It hasn't even come out at a press conference yet, but News 11 PIX got access to the court filing. Rex Heuermann charged with the seventh murder in the Gilgo Beach killings. That's according to court documents today. And that's going to be what we're going to be hearing about, among other things, from District Attorney Ray Tierney today. So I'm going to click on more local news and see what they got, if there is anything. Let's just take a listen to this, see if they have a piece on it, but I don't think that they do. Okay, maybe they do. Let's take a listen. All right, I'm going to come back on. I don't know why there's no sound. I got it. I hear you in the chat. Again, this is a video from the internet, so maybe they're just, not able to play the sound. I'm going to try to just stop sharing it and then reshare it. So hold on, give me a second. Let's try it again. Let's do it again, folks. Share screen, Chrome tab, Rex Heuermann. Let's give it a try once again. You let me know if you could hear the sound. I'll play it again.
More about that, more to uncover in this investigation.
Sound or no sound?
New information today, likely to include some new images of at least one victim connected to this case. And the Suffolk County DA kind of
sound
previewing what's
or no
to come
sound
today in this briefing in Newsday. DA Raymond Tierney telling Newsday
I never give up.
authorities now have more detailed images of a male victim of Asian descent whose remains were found off Ocean Parkway in 2011 and dressed in women's clothing. Investigators now believe he was between 17 and 23 years old and could have been a sex worker killed years earlier. Authorities initially releasing a victim sketch, but now using modern technology have more accurate imaging. In Newsday, Tierney says authorities are hoping someone recognizes this victim given the lack of Asian DNA in U.S. databases. The Gilgo Beach Homicide Investigation Task Force also set to give updates today, and prime suspect Rex Heuermann has been charged in the killings of at least 6 women, and the 61-year-old architect has pleaded not guilty. Now, Heuermann is also a suspect in a 7th murder now. You might recall back in May, investigators spending several days searching his Massapequa Park home. We could learn more about that. That press briefing starting this morning at 10 a.m. We're live in Brentwood. Justin Finch, Pix 11 News. Back to you.
All right. So, again, I want to just play a couple of little pieces that I saved from last night. So this is from News Nation. So let's take a listen to it.
And happening in New York this week, accused Long Island serial killer Rex Heuermann is expected back in court, where a possible trial date could be set. News Nation Live host and senior reporter Laura Ingle has been following this case from the very beginning. Laura, great to have you. Good morning. So what can we expect?
You know, the last time that we were in court following along with Rex Heuermann's criminal case, the judge announced he was hoping to set a trial date on December 17th. It sounded like a really long off date, but now it's this week. And that's one reason why Rex Heuermann will be back inside a Suffolk County courtroom Tuesday. That is in addition to more discovery being discussed between the prosecution and defense. So Rex Heuermann currently facing 6 murder charges in this decades-long case, which has been.
And I just want to let you guys know that, again, from WPIX Channel 11 local, Mary Murphy has been covering this story from the beginning. As of about a minute, well, when I went live, it was a minute old. But as of probably 10, 15 minutes ago, they reported on their website, which I showed you, I opened this broadcast with it, that Rex Heuermann in court today was charged with the 7th murder, the murder of Valerie Mack. And again, this goes back to 2000. Her remains were found in 2000, and then 11 years later in 2011 along Ocean Parkway. So we'll let the rest of this play. This is from last night, News Nation.
Such a mystery for so many years. After the remains of 11 victims, most of them sex workers, were found along a stretch of highway near Jones Beach State Park on Long Island, known as Ocean Parkway, near Gilgo Beach. That's why we hear Gilgo Beach killer. The identity of a suspect was a mystery, of course, until this sudden break in the case happened in July of last year when police arrested this architect nobody had heard of in Manhattan who lived in Massapequa Park on Long Island after police were able to tie evidence of his cell phone locations, burner phones, and DNA to some of the victims. Now, the first set of remains, these are skeletal remains, were found in 2010. They were known as the Gilgo 4. They were all found near each other, wrapped or covered in burlap, and it was hair that was discovered with those victims that investigators say lead back to Rex Heuermann. And another new development we could hear more on Tuesday is about the fight for funding to continue this massive investigation into the other victims. And at the last hearing, Suffolk County District Attorney Ray Tierney, in a press conference, revealed they have a holdup accessing millions of dollars that's being held by the Department of Justice, which is investigating the previous administration in Suffolk County. Take a listen.
I'd love to have that money and be able to use it to bring this case to a resolution. So I am going to go to the Department of Justice once again, hat in hand, and I will beg them.
So this was Ray Tierney from October 16th of 2024. He was asking for extra funding from the Department of Justice for DNA. This is, working with Ortham Labs in Texas. Suffolk County District Attorney's Office is working strongly to make positive identification of all of the remains from all of the victims of this horrific murders that occurred along Ocean Parkway and in various other places.
Previous administration in Suffolk County. Take a listen.
I'd love to have that money and be able to use it to bring this case to a resolution. So I'm going to go to the Department of Justice once again, hat in hand, and I will beg them, please give me this money so I can litigate this very significant serial killer case, and we'll see what our federal government tells me.
And we'll see if we're going to learn more inside of court this Tuesday. And with each one of these court hearings, we never know if Rex Heuermann is going to be charged with one of the other victims in this case. There are multiple victims here with families that still to this day do not have answers, who want the person responsible for their grisly deaths held accountable. So we will see. I'm hearing rumblings that we're going to have a lot of people in the courtroom on Tuesday, and that could mean a significant development.
Laura, you have been following this case for years now. What sticks out to you most when it comes to the Heuermann case?
You know, I think one of the hard things about this case is that the victims, it was hard to get traction in the beginning because they were sex workers, the victims. But these women who were found, and there's one male, were sex workers, but they were also daughters. They were mothers. Many of them had children. In fact, one of the victims that could be tied to this case, there was a toddler that was found. That map that you're looking at right now on the eastern end, there were remains of a toddler that were found with remains of part of the mom. So it's really, really heartbreaking. And to think that this was going on.
You know, and that's the main thing. And I'm glad that she brought that up here, is that you look at what you have here right now. These are the 6 victims that Rex Heuermann is charged with. Amber Lynn Costello, Melissa Bartholomew, Megan Waterman, Sandra Castilla, Maureen Brainerd Barnes, and Jessica Taylor. We learned today that the 7th victim that he is being charged with is Valerie Mack, and that will be added to this graphic. But, you know, Asian Doe and the rest of the victims, Baby Doe, they all need justice as well. And you know, shame on the justice system that it took this long, but I say always better late than never. Better late than never. So, you know, you got to take these wins as they come in. And I'm monitoring the court, the feed, not the court. I'm monitoring the feed. When the press conference starts, I'll bring that to you live here. But this is just a little bit of a preview before we hear officially of the charges. So, again, breaking, Rex Heuermann is charged in Suffolk County Court in Riverhead with a 7th victim, 7th murder victim, and that is Valerie Mack. I'm sure her family is happy that justice is starting.
Many of them.
Chaos Divers, thank you for, Jacob, everything that you and Lindsay and the whole team does over at Chaos Divers. Good to see you in the chat, and thank you for the super chat. There it is, Chaos Divers checking in. Thank you, Jacob. If you guys aren't subscribed, go on over there and follow what they're doing. They're bringing a lot of families to get home, bringing their loved ones home. So thank you for all you do.
Had children. In fact, one of the victims that could be tied to this case, there was a toddler that was found. That map that you're looking at right now on the eastern end, there were remains of a toddler that were found with remains of part of the mom. So it's really, really heartbreaking. And to think that this was going on for as long as it was before we had answers. I mean, a hat tip to the Suffolk County District Attorney and the investigators. There's a task force that have been working very hard to bring this case to a conclusion. And we're inching there, we're getting there, but still a lot more questions on this. But it's the victims. It's really, that's the one thing that sticks out to me. And you're looking at aerial views of the home in Massapequa Park where Rex Heuermann was living a quiet life, getting on and off the railroad, going into Manhattan. It's a really nice neighborhood. We were there for all of the searches. And I think that's the scary part, Hannah, of all the serial killer cases that we've covered, is that it could really be the guy next door.
Right. You never know. Such a grisly case. Really great job covering it.
So thank you, everybody. Yes, I'm feeling okay. I have my moments, but I am getting along. Second round of radiation with my cancer battle, but I appreciate that. Let's look at I saved a couple other pieces here. So this is CBS. They had some updates this morning Let's take a listen.
Happening today, prosecutors in the Gilgo Beach murder say they're revealing a major development in the case.
It comes as the accused killer, Rex Heuermann, is set to appear in court on Long Island later today. Now, Lee Dudridge joins us live from outside the courthouse in Riverhead with more on what we can expect. Now,
let me know how the volume is. Again, in the beginning, we were having a little bit of a problem with the volume. Just let me know if the volume is good by putting a 1 in the chat. If you could hear this okay, I'll do my best to make sure it's good for you guys.
Well, good morning, Chris and Cindy. The courtroom doors here open at 9:30, and we are told by the Suffolk County District Attorney's Office that there will be a news conference and that there will be a significant development. So obviously we will be watching closely for that. Now, the last time we were in court here was in October, and that's when accused serial killer Rex Heuermann faced the charges in the deaths of 6 women between 1993 and 2011. During that period, the remains of 11 people were discovered around Gilgo Beach, and investigators believe Heuermann may also be linked to other killings. The Suffolk County District Attorney has said that there could be future indictments. Prosecutors allege Heuermann is linked to the murders through DNA, through burner phone data, a description of his truck, as well as internet searches.
Now, we got to remember how Rex Heuermann was arrested in July of 2023. He was eating pizza and he threw a pizza crust out in a Midtown Manhattan public garbage pail. Suffolk County Police, along with the Gilgo Beach Task Force, collected that pizza crust and was able to extract his DNA and match that DNA to the victims in this case. Again, he's charged with, right now as it stands, a total of 7 victims. That significant discovery through DNA was crucial in, in getting Rex Heuermann into custody.
And what they call a blueprint for how to get away with murder. Now, another key point of contention is new DNA evidence called SNP, which prosecutors say links victims' hairs to Heuermann. The defense has called an outside lab's method of testing unproven and, quote, magic. Now, another hurdle for prosecutors is the sheer volume of evidence. The DA says they're struggling to keep up with the costs of processing it all. There is 120 terabytes of data and 400 electronic devices that have
120 terabytes of data. It's a substantial amount of data. And look, he had 422 smart devices, including burner phones, all different kinds of older. And this technology that you're looking at, folks, it goes back to the early 2000s, late 1990s. So, what you're seeing here, these devices, it's like a time warp. For those of you in the chat that might have a little bit of time, like I'm 60, I'm a 1964 baby. Let me know in the chat if any of these, like this flip phone here, this Motorola Smart Tac phone, this Sprint Samsung, I forgot what these things were called. Here's an LG flip phone. I mean, this guy kept everything. He never threw anything out. 422 devices. It's just unbelievable when you look at it. You look at the enormity, the pizza crust, the work that was done when former police chief Rodney Harrison of the Suffolk County Police Department took over and said that he was dedicating his tenure as the police commissioner on finding out and identifying the Suffolk County Gilgo Beach murderer. And he did exactly what he said.
Or how to get away with murder. Now, another key point of murders through DNA, through burner phone data, a description of his truck, as well as internet searches, and what they call a blueprint for how to get away with murder. Now, another key point of contention is new DNA evidence called SNP, which prosecutors say links victims' hairs to Heuermann. The defense has called an outside lab's method of testing unproven.
Now, another piece of like jargon that they use, and they call it SNP, SNP, and that SNP data, DNA is something that is like a specialized, and they used Ortham Labs. It's confirmed that they did use Ortham Labs in Texas to help bolster this case. Diane Hubbard says, I'm a 66 baby. I remember those devices. I think we all do. If you were born in the 60s and, were an adult, in the late 90s, early 2000s, those were the devices that were out there.
Quote, magic. Now, another hurdle for prosecutors is the sheer volume of evidence. The DA says they're struggling to keep up with the costs of processing it all. There is 120 terabytes of data and 400 electronic devices that have been seized. Heuermann's attorney says his client is looking forward to his day in court and will be pursuing a change of venue, claiming any jury pool in Suffolk County has been, quote, poisoned.
And that's another thing that's going to we'll hear about during this press conference. And again, I don't know when this press conference is going to commence, but I'm monitoring it via News Nation and WPIX. So I have at the command center here multiple devices that I'm monitoring for the press conference. So yeah, a lot of people in the chat, 60s, 67. Some are not up there in that age, and some of the younger folks probably remember some of these devices. But yeah, that's a whole nother ball game. We're going to talk about here is defense attorney Brown, who is outspoken and does the talk show circuit. He's on all of as talking heads on Court TV and News Nation. The defense attorney Brown, who is Rex Heuermann's attorney, he's going to be requesting a change of venue, and I mean he'll have a decent argument because it's going to be difficult to grab a jury pool of people who have not heard anything about this. This has been plastered all over national and international television.
Meanwhile, Heuermann remains in isolation in jail due to his high profile 120 terabytes.
Let's look at these devices again. A lot of people in the chat are saying they remember these devices, like Steph D. Again, the police and investigators in the Gilgo Beach Task Force had to go through all of these devices and extract out all of those sickening, as you guys remember, if you're following this case closely, he made sickening Google searches on these devices. And these devices were used for him to contact the prostitutes, sex workers on Long Island and all of the places that he traveled. And I wouldn't be surprised if we hear that he has victims in other places like Las Vegas, Nevada, like South Carolina, where his brother has that estate. And now we're hearing that his wife or ex-wife, I don't know if the divorce went through, but we're hearing that his wife is now going to be selling. The house is up for sale in North Massapequa and Massapequa Park. I mean, his home, that raggedy shanty that we saw, is up for sale. And they're talking about moving. She's talking about moving to South Carolina. And that's where his brother, Rex Heuermann, has a property down there in that area. I just want to pull up the shanty. I've been past this home many a time. And this is the Massapequa Park, home of Rex Heuermann.
And quote, magic. Now another key point, prosecutors say Lynx has called an outside lab's method of testing unproven.
So that was a look at his home, which, oh my goodness, his home, horrific. When you go by there and you look at it and you say, this guy is an architect. The outside of the home, horrible looking. The lawn was not kept. An eyesore. I could positively tell you guys that was an eyesore. I drove past it a few times. I have a friend who lives on that same block, down the block from Rex Heuermann, and that house was definitely not something that you want to look at. It was, like I said, he had wood here holding up the front porch. All of the front facade was all faded and dark. He had this ugly green color with a reddish maroon painting on the side. It is what it is. It is what it is, friends. So, but we're going to let the rest of this play, and then I'm monitoring the court feed.
And quote, magic. Now, another hurdle for prosecutors is the sheer volume of evidence. The DA says they're struggling to keep.
Do you guys remember the backyard being dug up? When the backyard was dug up, it was quite a project here. And we thought that they were going to find body parts or skeletal remains in the backyard, but we never did hear that they did find any evidence in his backyard.
Keep up with the costs of processing it all. There's 120 terabytes of data and 400 electronic devices that have been seized. Heuermann's attorney says his client is looking forward to his day in court and will be pursuing a change of venue, claiming any jury pool in Suffolk County has been, quote, poisoned. Meanwhile, Heuermann remains in isolation in jail due to his high-profile status. So once again, courtroom.
So Rex Heuermann is in the Suffolk County Jail in Riverhead. He's in isolation for his own protection. When I say isolation, it's not like he's in a hole somewhere. He's in a cell by himself, and he gets his 1 hour rec time every day, and his meals and all of his stuff is brought to him. And look, he stands accused, innocent until proven guilty, but he stands accused of now murdering up to 7 women, 7 souls he's being charged with. That doesn't mean that there is not many more. And I firmly believe that Rex Heuermann is responsible for many, many more. And we'll hear about this in the future going forward. All right. So I'm monitoring the News Nation feed. It doesn't look like the press conference is hitting off yet, but I'm going to just take a quick peek on News Nation and see what we got.
And happening in New York this week, accused Long Island serial killer
Hold on,
Rex
folks.
Heuermann is.
Hold on, folks. So again, this is just in typical fashion. You know, they said that the press conference was going to go off at 9:30, but 9:30 has come and gone, and we have nothing. So I'm monitoring it closely. I'm hoping that it will go off anytime soon. If anybody in the chat has any info on this press conference, or if they hear of a time, if someone's coming up with a time, I'm going to just play this again. This is another piece from News Nation. I played it earlier, but it's something for us to listen to while we wait. And I'm going to check on the internet to see if there was any time. They said 9:30, Darlene. They said at 11. I don't think I heard 11. I got News Nation who had a press conference, waiting for a press conference, and I think that the court started at 9:30. So I know that these court hearings don't go for very long, but if it is at 11, we'll cover it at 11. I'm not going to stay live until 11 o'clock. But if it is at 11, we will, just bring it to you. Bring it to you again at 11 o'clock. I'll do another live stream. It's 10:25 Eastern right now. So let's see what happens. 11 a.m. So if it's 11 a.m., I'll end this now. But we heard it here first that at 11, we're going to hear about a 7th victim, which is Valerie Mack. Her remains, again, recovered out in Suffolk County in 2000, in the year 2000. And then some more of her remains were recovered along Ocean Parkway in 2011. So justice is starting for her family.
Expected back in court, where a possible trial date could be set. News Nation Live host and senior reporter Laura Ingle has been following this case from the very beginning. Laura, great to have you. Good morning. So what can we expect?
You know, the last time that we were in court following along with Rex Heuermann's criminal case, the judge announced he was hoping to set a trial date on December 17th. It sounded like a really long off date, but now it's this week. And that's one reason why Rex Heuermann will be back inside a Suffolk County courtroom Tuesday. That is in addition to more discovery being discussed between the prosecution and defense. So Rex Heuermann currently facing 6 murder charges in this decades-long case, which has been such a mystery for so many years. After the remains of 11 victims, most of them sex workers, were found along a stretch of highway near Jones Beach State Park on Long Island, known as Ocean Parkway, near Gilgo Beach. That's why we hear Gilgo Beach killer. The identity of a suspect was a mystery, of course, until this sudden break in the case happened in July of last year when police arrested this architect nobody had heard of in Manhattan who lived in Massapequa Park on Long Island after police were able to tie evidence of his cell phone locations, burner phones, and DNA to some of the victims. Now, the first set of remains, these are skeletal remains, were found in 2010. They were known as the Gilgo 4. They were all found near each other, wrapped or covered in burlap, and it was hair that was discovered with those victims that investigators say lead back to Rex Heuermann. And another new development we could hear more on Tuesday is about the fight for funding to continue this massive investigation into the other victims. And at the last hearing, Suffolk County District Attorney Ray Tierney, in a press conference, revealed they have a holdup accessing millions of dollars that's being held by the Department of Justice, which is investigating the previous administration in Suffolk County. Take a listen.
I'd love to have that money and be able to use it to bring this case to a resolution. So I am going to go to the Department of Justice once again, hat in hand, and I will beg them, please give me this money so I can litigate this very significant serial killer case. And we'll see what our federal government tells me.
And we'll see if we're going to learn more.
So that's going to be it until 11 o'clock, ladies and gentlemen. I just saw posted up on News 12 Long Island, 11 a.m. Eastern. So in 30 minutes, we'll be back live again. I'm going to decompress and I'm going to get ready for this press conference. I'll bring it to you live at 11 a.m. Eastern time. See you guys in 30 minutes. Peace and love from Crime Time with Duty Ron and Ed Wallace. Again, breaking news: the 7th victim, Rex Heuermann, is been charged with today. Valerie Mack. I will speak to you guys all in 30.